And welcome to the daily space weather. Starting things out looking at 171 angstroms plus colorized magnetogram. We've got new sunspots. The story of the day is coronal holes. Likelihood of solar flares goes way up. Radio flux increases as well. Let's get through all kinds of solar data. Here at the Smash News Network, least busted name of news, we like to present facts. So let's do it. New sunspot groups to get named here in the east. Check this one out. It's formed rapidly, and it's quite impressive. Many beta gamma class sunspot groups here. Again, likelihood of flares goes way up, and flaring has indeed increased. We'll briefly cover volcanoes. Check out Fagradals, y'all. A new volcano forming before your very eyes. It's turning from a fissure into a mountain as new real estate gets built in Iceland. Sakurajima also exploding, producing an 8,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Subanosejima, 6,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Semaru, 15,000-foot plume of volcanic ash as Semaru explodes. That's an uptick there at Semaru, I think. Dakono exploding, flight level 070 from Dakono. Nevado del Ruiz exploding, 20,000-foot ash plume. Sangay exploding, 27,000-foot ash plume. That's an uptick at Sangay. Sangay, flight level 270. Flight level 160 over Ravenador, it's also exploding. 16,000-foot ash plume. And Sabancaya in Peru, exploding, flight level 220. Here's your 90-day bar graph for earthquakes. And really, again, this is kind of a low number of 7+ magnitude earthquakes over the past 90 days, folks. No major quakes over the past 24 hours. An interesting one there in the Mediterranean, it looks like. Nothing exceeding a 5 magnitude, it looks like. So we're just going to scroll up the list here. If we miss anything, let us know. Looks like some in the Cascadian zone there, off the coast of Oregon. And there, that's a 5.2. Looks like it's in the Mediterranean there, near Libya. I think that was the largest quake of the past 24. Again, only a 5.2 there. Philippines also saw a 5.1. Kermadec Island saw a 5.1. Oh, no, I stand corrected. Largest quake of the past 24 was a 5.8. That came in at 6:25 this morning, just a few hours before we created this video. Let's get back to the sun. It's the house favorite wavelength, 171 angstroms from SDO. And I don't know why it's not playing. There's some reason. There you go. That's the last 24 hours. Again, the word of the day is coronal holes. So we're showing some old data there. Here is the latest, a close-up of this South Pole-oriented coronal hole here. There are a lot of protons coming out of that coronal hole, let's just say that. That will affect the earthly geospace. Don't be surprised to see that cause some geomagnetic storm conditions. That is quite a large trans-equatorial coronal hole system. The radial flux has come up to 120. Again, we've got new sunspots, and the radial flux is proportional to sunspot number, as you can see. The ratio here of the black line versus the red line, they are directly proportional. When you see an increase in the sunspots, you see an increase in the radial flux. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard not forecasting any geomagnetic storms or geomagnetic unrest through the next 3 days. And you can see up here in this top graph, you can see the increase in the solar X-ray flux. Next, we'll look at the Earth's magnetic moment from space for the past 4 hours. and some variations there in the solar wind, showing some changes in the magnetohydrodynamic pressure. We'll also show Earth's magnetic moment from the ground level. And you can expect to see some variations on this as well. These models are driven by the Space Weather Modeling Framework. If you want to read about that, head to the Geospace Magnetosphere Movies page. Scroll to the bottom and click Details. You'll find a link for the Space Weather Modeling Framework. That's the last 4 hours, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. A measurement of global geomagnetism is represented in the K-index. The planetary K-index, KP3, is the current situation. We do still have an elevated coronal hole high-speed wind stream. And let's look at the real-time solar wind here. This change over here, this is a switching between the ACE to the Discover. You see this bottom bar here, the green is the ACE, the blue is the Discover. When you see pink, that's both at the moment using the Discover. So the readings on the Discover are solar wind density 9.3 protons per cubic centimeter, solar wind density 9.3 protons per cubic centimeter, solar wind speed 532 kilometers per second. It's slowly subsiding, that long duration high-speed coronal hole wind stream. GOES magnetometers here showing some low highs and low lows over the past couple of days, the past 24 hours. And you can see some adjustments happening there, as there is a continuing electron storm, which we'll get to in our bonus features segment. But that's your GOES magnetometer readings. Next, let's look at the top view ecliptic plane field plot. Earth remains in a south pole current sheet, shown there in red. Yes. And here's our line of sight field plot. Again, that coronal hole system that's moving in is south pole oriented. And now we're looking at coronal holes. It's quite well defined. It's going to get even more well defined as it rotates to directly face Earth. So here you have a great wavelength to view coronal holes, 211 angstroms, one of the many ionized iron species that's followed by the SDO. Great imagery there. And here's a close-up in this wavelength. A lot of protons being emitted from that area. And coronal holes emit hydrogen nuclei, also ionized helium. Don't forget electrons, and also some metals. And in astronomy, we consider everything heavier than helium to be metals. But it's mostly hydrogen nuclei, helium nuclei, electrons. Next, moving to sunspots, and we've got some new named groups. The most interesting one at the moment is this one up here. That'll be known as, 3080? No, 3081 maybe? 3081, I like that name. It has grown rapidly. Let's take a look. How about a closer look? And you see that spontaneously forming. It's gone from non-existent to quite large. And it is beta gamma class, for sure. Here's your magnetogram. So another little solar uptick here happening in the last 24 hours. We're delighted to bring you the space weather here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Only the most detailed views of the sun you'll find anywhere, as well as the most comprehensive space weather. in the world. So there's your GOES X-ray flux over the past 3 days. Let's show the 7-day graph. You can see this significant uptick. Some flaring happening there in the past 24 hours. Nearly M-class flares there. Largest flare was a C6.69. And here's the 131 angstroms wavelength. Looks like those flares came out of this group down here in the southern portion. Again, likelihood of additional flares has increased. All right, we've got lots more information to blast through, including a cosmic ray update. First, your proton flux, which remains flatlined, so no relativistic particles coming from those flares. And here's your cosmic ray update, a Patity neutron monitor showing a downtick over the past 30 days. Barentsburg, flat over the past 30 days. Let's go farther south to Athens, Greece. Hey, Athens. Athens, we would love to see your neutron monitor. Yes. Here's the Athens, Greece neutron monitor. A slight downtick over the past 30 days, nearly flat. Let's go farther south to Mexico City. Mexico City, a slight downtick over the past 30 days, nearly flat there as well. And going back north to Oulu, Finland. There's Oulu. Slight downtick over the past 30 days at Oulu. DOMB Antarctica, downtick at DOMB Antarctica, and a downtick at DOMC Antarctica over the past 30 days. By the way, welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Visit our homepage if you haven't. We've recently made changes, such as adding a link to SureMed. Check out our SureMed link if you haven't, if you'd like to enhance your health through membership to the ABHO, the American Better Health Organization. Check it out. Links to our social media as well. Don't forget to join us on Twitter. Today's featured portion of SureMed is dental discounts. You know, you could save 15 to 50% through Aetna Dental Access with a SureMed membership. Again, links on the homepage as well as below this video. You can also use the Teledoc service, virtual veterinarians, counselors by phone, health advocate solutions, and lots more. Discounts on vitamins, labs, diabetic supplies, MRI and CT scans. If you want to support the channel by becoming a gold or silver Smash Team member, do so via smashamash.com/Smash Team. We replace Patreon with a superior website, our own. And the credit crawl is coming back, so everybody who is a paid patron or a paid gold or silver Smash Team member, let us know if you'd like us to feature you on our upcoming credit crawl. You're a producer of the content, so we want to feature you, give you credit by putting our credit crawl back up. It's coming back for gold and silver and patrons. Today's featured product is Make America Not Suck Again. If you think it's a political slogan, think again. I'm absolutely apolitical. I've never been associated with a political party ever, and I probably never will be. It's up to you to make America not suck again. And hint to others creating designs. Don't steal our design. It may cause your entire Redbubble shop to get taken down. And and by the way, since it's not clear what we're allowed to say and not say, I'll just say this. Our bestseller is being worn right now, and I've got matching socks to go with it. Again, our bestseller is, it's... CDC guidelines have changed, but I'm still not fully sure what I'm allowed to say and not say, so in order to keep the video monetized, I'll just leave it at that. But I will definitely say, make America not suck again. It is up to you. Do you think it's up to bureaucrats to make America not suck again? I don't know. Whew. Seems like a terrible idea. And don't forget to follow us on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/smashamash. Install the mobile app. If you don't have a Twitter account, get one. We're not going to get banned from Twitter. Like certain idiots. Well, I mean, listen, the censorship is certainly pathetic. But nonetheless, join us on Twitter. You'll see information you won't see anywhere else. And since our subscriber count is just all over the place, make sure you press like, subscribe, press the notification bell, and press that share button. Leave us a comment, etc. Get involved on YouTube. Because it makes no sense. And we will not be gaslit by big tech. Big tech. You can't break the internet, but the internet can break you. We highly recommend that you do not mislead investors. It could be considered a crime, even in a banana republic with two justice systems. Rampant corruption, fraud, waste and abuse, galore, and corporatism. So we encourage you to look up. This is what's going on above our head. We've got Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and the moon setting at the moment as the sun rises over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Next, we're going to do a solar system forecast. Keep in mind, this map is not to scale. The planets are much farther apart than that. Here's our 1 week forecast. As Mercury swings around to the more populated side of the solar system. Next, some coronagraph imagery. That is yesterday's frames, 90 frames. And we don't have any significant coronal mass ejections to really talk about. Here are today's frames. And we will show the coronagraphs from Stereo A and the Soho Lasco C3 also. Let's bring those back to play them through once. And the coast is clear as far as coronal mass ejections. No exciting ones to cover at the moment. And let's blast through to our bonus feature segment here. Because we're running a bit late today. So, by the way, likelihood of coronal mass ejection is very high. We've got a huge number of filaments, especially in the southern hemisphere. Look at all the filaments down here, all these dark features, these absorption features, all filaments, some filaments in the north as well. Filaments, filaments, and more filaments. Some of those could be headed our way soon. Remember, folks, you don't need solar flares or sunspots to see coronal mass ejections. Lots of filaments could be ejecting soon. Next, the GOES 16 SUVI imagery. That's the last approximately 3 hours. And let's do a higher resolution series of images from the SDO in that same wavelength ionized helium. And this coronal hole over here, you can see it's so well defined, you can even see it in this wavelength. Very well defined coronal hole system there of South Pole orientation. It's trans-equatorial. And let's get to the bonus features segment. So we've got an electron storm going on, and it's causing some significant charging hazards, surface charging hazards over places like Mexico and the Central Pacific and the Caribbean, internal charging hazards over the southern Indian Ocean and the southern Atlantic Ocean and parts of the West Pacific. Over Australia, some internal charging hazards. And we've brought up the 7-day chart here that goes electron flux. You can see that ongoing electron storm. Electron warning levels continuing here for an extended period. NOAA forecasting a continued electron storm. No arguments from me there. Here's the 1-year chart and some of the highest levels we've seen in the past year showing up in the past couple of days. We'll show the F layer of the ionosphere next, Here's the vibrational frequency of the bridge between Earth and space. Yes, we're zooming in to Earth as time goes on, as we approach our meteorology segment. So that's the vibrational frequency, megahertz. Here is the anomalygram, anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. High frequency anomalies shown in blue, low frequency anomalies shown in red. Yeah. And there's the latest image, 10:30 Universal Time. Ionogram, 10:45 Universal Time, anomalygram for some reason. Continuing on with our bonus feature segment, we'll show the total electron content forecast. These are the most likely places to see GPS errors. And we'll let that play through a second time here. The electron bands are fairly organized at the moment. It's the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model. Next, the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. Again, sunspots have risen. Likelihood of solar flares goes up as well. The area to keep an eye on especially is this group right here. That's an exciting sunspot group. And let's bring up one more series of images here from SDO. Ionized iron and helium. Just spectacular imagery there. And a great view of that coronal hole. Next, it's time. Time to do meteorology. And man, oh man, I blew my shoulder out just now. Not by doing anything in particular. It hurts. All right, let's get on with it. It's time to do meteorology and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Saharan dust here blowing across the Atlantic Ocean, tamping down systems. It's dusty over the Gulf of Mexico, making it less likely for tropical systems to develop there. And a huge amount of dust here in the central Atlantic. And let's take a look at the eastern world's wind situation. There are the surface winds of the eastern world. Some turbulent winds here in the Southern Ocean. Here are the jet streams of the eastern world. Backward jet stream over the West Pacific, the Philippines, and the northern Indian Ocean. Here are the jet streams of the Americas. Cold air being injected into Pennsylvania. It is legitimately cool out this morning. And we're going to show you some temperature anomaly forecasts as well. Huge anticyclone here over northwestern South America. You can see that counterclockwise rotation. Here are the surface winds of this side of the planet. A bit of a low here off of the east coast of the U.S. Strong low here off of the coast of Argentina. Here are the surface winds of the central world. And shout out to our viewers from all around the planet. Who knew we'd make so many friends by putting out informational, fact-dense videos on Junkware on YouTube, whatever it's called. Yeah. Here are the jet streams of the central world. And here's your weather.gov map, weather.gov. If your county's lit, click your county. We've got massive flood watches here over large portions of Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, some in New Mexico, and eastern California. Some of those are flash flood warnings. Again, if your county's lit, head to weather.gov and click your county. And here is the total accumulated precipitation forecast based on the GFS model for the next 72 hours. Once again, that's the GFS 72-hour total accumulated precipitation forecast. Precipitation totals shown here in inches. Here is your temperature anomaly forecast. Again, it's quite cold in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania today. This is your GFS 72-hour temperature anomaly forecast. Temperatures shown here in degrees Celsius. Some very cold temperatures coming to Pennsylvania in the coming days, as Canadian Great Lakes air is sent our way by the jet stream. Next, your pressure map. Here's your pressure map on windy.com. High pressure over Greenland, low pressure over the northern Arctic Canadian region. And here's your NASA GOES lightning mapper. That's about the last 10 hours of lightning. And let's go to a real-time lightning map. We show it daily. It's from lightningmaps.org, powered by blitzoltung.org. There's where your active cells are currently. And we had an errant strike happening here. Some lightning in northeastern Iowa happening. Just a couple lone lightning strikes there. Oh, some activity kicking up around Green Bay. How about it? Hey, Appleton. Hey, Green Bay. New London. There's some thunder rolling in. Nabo J, leave us a comment if you're viewing sprites. Next, we got the radar.weather.gov Doppler radar, which is not animated because reasons. We're showing the full 50 states view. We're going to fixate on the lower 48. Here's clouds and fog on the 3.9 nanometer radiation satellite. And here is water vapor, we think. Well, let's pause for station identification. We ain't got no water vapor map. Now, we do have a water vapor map. I just had to reload it. So let's get that going. And thanks for leaving a comment, Robert. So here's your water vapor map. Some major convection happening here in the Gulf of Mexico, despite the dusty conditions. Must be some hot water. Some rapid cloud nucleation happening down there. There you can see those clouds forming quite quickly. This is your recap. U.S. Doppler radar, which again should be animated, but it's not because reasons. Shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog. And closing out your video with the water vapor map. Huge mass of dry air here over northern Texas and Oklahoma. Clear skies, likely over most of Oklahoma. That is a high pressure zone. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to the Daily Space Weather. We're delighted to present facts to you, and no propaganda, fraud, or nonsense. We'll see you soon, and may that solar wind be at your back.